All right. With a new year up and coming and lots of new people switching around grade levels, new teachers, I wanted to do a quick little training on GoGuardian Teacher. Um, this is one of the programs apparently will be available for second through eighth grade this year for all the kids in that. And what it does, the purpose of the program is it is a Chromebook um, management program. So it basically allows you as a teacher to set rules in for when the Chromebooks are on websites they're allowed to go to, websites or not, and also to see what the kids are doing when they're online. One of the pleasant surprises we found out last year was it did work when they're at a distance, as long as they're logged into their Chrome account and on a Chrome browser, you can see what they're doing. Now, that being said, if they're at home and they're on their personal computer and they're in Microsoft Edge or they're on a Safari or something like that, it's not going to let you know what they're doing. So if they're on a different device and they're accessing a different way, you're not going to be able to see them. However, since every kid is getting a Chromebook from second to eighth grade, and they log into that Chromebook, it will allow you to see when they're on the Chrome browser what they're doing. So that's the purpose of the program. The icon is GoGuardian Teacher. If you want to add that to your class link, you'll want to make sure you do that. Or you can just type in was it goguardian.com, and I think it'll take you to the website. Teacher.goguardian.com is what you want to use. And when it comes up, if you've never been in before, you will have to put in your login with Google, put in your account, and there are two agreements that you have to say I agree. You got to scroll all the way down, say I agree, scroll all the way down, I agree, and then you get in. And this is what it looks like. Okay. If you've never been in before, yours won't have these tiles because these are my classrooms that are set up in here. Um, you're going to create and add your classrooms, and then you'll be able to see what it is that's going on. Now, there's a possibility, and I don't know if it's going to happen or not. There's a possibility it'll be populated for you. If that's the case, then your classes would be here once the school year comes in. If not, you're going to have to populate them. Now, there's two ways to do that. One is to click add a classroom, give it a name, subject, description, color, and add that classroom. If you do that, then you have to manually add the kids in or have the kids join the classroom. If you teach sixth, seventh, eighth, and the kids know what's going on, they might not want to manually join the classroom. The other way, of course, is to add a Google Classroom. So I'm going to click that, and I'm going to connect my Google account really quick. So I'm just letting it know that I want it to use that Google account, and I'm allowing it access to my Google Classroom. And then it'll come up and say choose a classroom. So if you've got one classroom, you'd add it in. If you're middle school and you've got 5 different classrooms, you would add that in. Okay. I'm going to grab this one right here that I called test. I'm going to pull it in. You can see I have an active student there. Okay. What you would do if you get new students anytime like that, you'll notice I'm on the student section here, is you're going to sync students from Google. So if new kids get added into your Google Classroom, you just hit that and it'll pull those students in, and eventually you'd have the list of all your students. Okay. So that's one way to do it, is to add that classroom from Google. I like that since we're all using Google this year. Once they're in your Google Classroom, you can just pull them into this. Okay. Now, what it does, I'm going to come out here to sessions, and I can start a session. I can choose how long that session is going to be. I can say 2 hours, hour and 30 minutes, 45 minutes, 30 minutes, or custom end time. Let's say I want to just do 2 hours. I can apply a scene, and I'll talk more about those scenes in a little bit. And I hit start session. What it does is it will pull up the student's computer. It'll find that student if they're online, and it'll show you right here on the screen in a little thumbnail what that student is actively doing. Okay, so here you can see this student is currently on classroom.google.com. If I open a second tab, and let's say this student was at yahoo.com, so I'm going to see right here, I've got this student now has moved to yahoo.com. Okay. Um, if they go back to the other tab, If I click and I'm concerned about what the student's doing, and I click on their screen to open it up, it'll actually show me where they're at. It'll show me other tabs that are open. And if there's something that I don't want them on, I can simply close it. They get a message saying, oh, that was closed by your teacher. Okay. So any tab, if I don't want them on Yahoo, I can close that up and say, oh, that's not what you're supposed to be doing right now. And it closes that up. Okay. I can also send them a little chat message. Okay. So I can send them a little chat message. You do have to have your chat turned on, and I'll show you where that's on in a second. But that's how you can manage that particular student. Okay. I can also click here on this little three-prong menu, and I can lock their device, and I can send them a message. Eyes on me. We're in class, we're online. I send them that. Then what they see is browsing's disabled with a little message that says eyes on me. And at any time I can unlock that device, and then they have control again. So that's a quick way to lock a student's device if they're not focused, they're messing around, you could do that. I can also open a tab. So I can come right here and actually push out a tab I want them to go to. I want them to see this YouTube video. I click open a tab, and you will see that that's going to open up right on their screen, and it forces that open for them. Okay. So you can actually push out an actual web page. And I can exclude student from my monitoring. So I can come here and actually exclude them from the monitoring. Okay. So that's where I can see the screens I'm in session. I can also get what's called a timeline view that shows me during time period what they were actively on. It shows me, hey, they were here, this is what they were doing, and it does that in a timeline view. So if they're online for a whole day, you can come see what they were doing that whole day. It's a great way to tell parents, they were active, they were doing what they need to be doing. Oh no, your kid spent 3 hours playing this game online. That's not what they're supposed to be doing. I'm going to make sure I'm blocking that game later on in the scenes, and I'll talk more about that. But this is a great way for you to kind of see what they're doing. I can also take snapshots. So if a kid is not doing what they're doing, I can take a snapshot and then it'll show up here. And I'll show you where the snapshot's in a little bit. And I can actually do well, those may or may not be open. That's the new video program they have, and that may or may not be open for you. Okay, but it's important for you to see here. If I click on this kid's screen, there is a screenshot. I click right here, and it'll actually take that snapshot. So if they're out of sight, they're not supposed to be on, I can actually snap it, show the parent, oh, look, this is where they were at. And that shows up in that screenshot now. I have one screenshot showing me what is here, and I can download it, save to drive, but that's where it keeps all of my screenshots. Okay, so that's a nice little feature if you're having a problem with a kid being off task. I can turn that chat on right here. So then I can send chat messages. And that can be done individually, like I showed you on the kid's screen right here, the little chat icon. Or down here, I have a little chat thing as well where all the names will show up. And I can click right here and type in a quick little message to them. Hey, you are supposed to be writing a story. And I send them that message, and that actually pops up on their screen for them to see. Okay. So I can turn that chat on and off as I want to use it. Okay. I can also get what's called off task alerts. And these are little alerts that I can put on. You have to choose a subject. So I'm going to say this is an English class. Sensitivity, you can choose how sensitive you want it. But it'll basically give you an alert if a child is way off task, like they're on a gaming set, it'll pop up and say, oh, that child's off task. And you get a little alert. Okay. Now, the other big thing to this program is called scenes. And I will have another training more specifically on scenes, but I kind of want to briefly go over what it is. So I'm going to come in here to scenes. You can create a scene, and I'm going to add a scene here. And a scene, you're going to name it. So I'm going to call this like test. Okay, that's going to be my scene. I can give it a description. And right now, you see this little thing right now, it says allow mode. This is an allow mode. that means the kids can go anywhere. If this scene's active, they can go anywhere except any website that I put here. So if I see them going to a gaming site all the time, I can put, let's see what was really popular. Star dot, well, it's an IO game, so slither.io. And that was a really popular game. So I can add that site. Now the kids would be able to go to any site except for that one. Okay. One of the other ones that middle school kids went to all the time was play.google.com. And I can add that site. That'll block them from the Play Music and stuff like that, the Google Play site. So I can actually add in whatever site I want. They're allowed to go anywhere else except what I put here. Okay, so this is what we call the block list. One of the things I like to do is also make sure the kids do the work for me. So if you when I show you student reports, it'll actually show you what websites the kids went to. And if there's websites on there you don't want them going to, I would just copy those websites, come in here, paste it in, and then the kids are doing the work for you, finding the websites you don't want them to go to, and you can end up with a nice long list of blocked sites. Okay, so that's an allow mode. Now, the other thing I can do is flip this little toggle and I can have it in block mode. In block mode, they cannot go anywhere except what I put in here. Okay, so these would be allowed sites. Now, when I say that, you need to be really careful because some sites require more than one website to be functional. They require a login, they require different things. So that's one of the reasons I tell people the block sites, you can make them, but they do require a little work. They're a little tricky. There are quick lists, like right here. If I click on this, it'll add everything you need. And I can add that list. You'll see now it says ClassLink. That is everything you need for kids to use ClassLink in my block thing, okay? Let's say I want them to use Kahoot today. I can add that list. So now they can get the ClassLink and Kahoot. And that's everything you need. So you'll notice there's a number of sites. There's iReady. I can add that. There's Hoot and Mifflin. I can add that. Okay, now, if you want a specific list created, you can talk to us. And we will work with you on getting that done. But this way, you can see right now, this is in block mode. The kids can get to ClassLink, they can get to Kahoot, they can get to iReady. There used to be Google Docs in here, and I don't know what happened to it. And so one of the problems with Google and specifically is there's tons of websites needed to run the Google stuff. So if you're going to use Google Classroom, you can't just put in classroom.google.com. There's a lot of bounce out things that happen. So you have to be careful with the block mode. It works great for one strategy that I heard of is a teacher uses it for social studies where their kids are allowed to go to ClassLink and then they will push out a YouTube video. So I'm going to come down here real quick. So you'll notice that you can have an open tab. They will put in the website for the, do I still have the YouTube? No, I don't have the YouTube video anymore. But let's say that was a YouTube video. They put that website directly in there. Then they push that website open to them when they activate the scene. They're allowed, that basically says, this is what you're allowed to do is go watch that video. And it forces that video out on their Chromebook, okay? The other thing you can do with scenes down here is you can set the maximum number of tabs. One of the things that a lot of the kids like to do in the classroom is have 7 tabs open. So when you come by, they switch real quick from one tab to the other, and they know the hotkeys to do that. It happens real quick. You can tell them you're only allowed to have 4 tabs. That makes it a little bit easier for you to see what's going on. Your scene only allows them to have 4 tabs, okay? So these are all customizable based on what you want them to do. When you're ready, you would just at the bottom of this thing here, there's a save, or it's up at the top now. There's a save scene. You click save scene, and that saves the scene and allows you at any time to activate the scene. Okay. So I'm going to come back into my class right here, my test class. I have a session going, and I'm watching the students, all my students working, and I want to activate a scene because we're going to do something specific. I click right here and I tell them, oh, this is the scene we're using right now. I hit that and it will instantaneously move to that scene. Okay. If I want this scene, I click that, and you'll notice his screen is now changing because it pushed out a specific thing to him. So that is how the scenes kind of work. I can come right in here, click on a scene, and it moves them to what they're doing. If they try to go somewhere else, you'll see right here it says blocked by scene, and that tells them, oh, you can't get there. Now, one of the new things it does, if you want something unblocked, one of the problems people had with scenes is they'd try to make it and then it would say, nope, that didn't work because you forgot this one part or you didn't know that web page. You can now click unblock for class and tell them, oh, unblock the site. You can go there and I'm going to update the scene, and that will now add that to the scene. Oh, they can go to that site. Okay. So that's one of the things. It works really well with how you want to make that work. Scenes are a great feature for putting into your classroom and how you want it to work. Whenever you're done with that session, you just click end session, and then the kids have full access to go wherever they want. Now, you'll notice I have that timeline here of everything that happened for that student during that time. I have all my snapshots here and everything that I was using. Okay. I also can come in here and get a student report. So I'm going to select that classroom, hoping it's this one, that student, today's date range, generate a report, and it'll actually show me what websites they were on, the percentage of time they were on that, what they did, their Google searches, everything I might want to know. And again, I can pull this up and show a parent, hey, this is what your kid's doing online. Um, what they're searching for, something inappropriate. It's a great, easy way for me to do that. And again, if there's a website that I don't want them to go to, let's say, oh, nope, you're not going here. I can come in here, I can copy it, Control C, come back into the scenes where I have my allowed mode with my block list, Control V to paste that in, and then I have that as a blocked website. So let the kids do the work for you is my theory on this. Let them find the websites you don't want them to go to and just add them to your block list. Okay. So here again is my classrooms. These are the active classrooms. Whenever I'm done with a classroom, I can come here and archive it. I can come in and change the settings at any time. Okay. And old ones, there's a delete key that appears. Your settings allows you to come in and let's talk about the settings real quick because I added the classroom a little bit different because I did through Google Classroom. The settings allow you to put in the subject, a description. You can add a default scene. So if you're allowed mode with block sites could be your default scene, the one that runs at startup or at the start of the day, and you can update that classroom. You can also schedule these and I can add a schedule. And this allows me to schedule them to start at 8 a.m. and end at 8 p.m. And I can do that Sunday through Saturday. So I know that's running all the time. Whether or not I'm on looking at it, it's running. It's actively running with my default scene if I put that in there. So this is a way that you can get a report on what the kids are doing during the day, what's going on in their classroom. And again, you can come in. Here is enable session reports. You can turn that on or off. It'll send you an email every time you hop on and run a session. So you may want to turn that on or off. I really like the scheduling feature for distance learning because you literally can come in and say, you're starting at 7 a.m. and you're ending at midnight Sunday through Saturday because the kids go home with Chromebook and they're running that thing and it's blocking certain sites that they can't get to. Remember that our district filtering is still in place. So that's going to block them from a lot of the inappropriate websites, things they might try to do. But this is more specific, would help keep them on task. You can prevent them from going to certain gaming sites or something like that and really keep them on task with this. Okay. They have a wonderful help menu here with how-to guides, video training, suggestions for new features. So all of that is here where you can come in and say, oh, I have an idea or I'm looking for help. All of that's there and available to you. Okay. Um, I will do one more specifically on scenes later. So if you didn't get the scenes part, I'm going to do a specific thing that includes like wild carding and things like that so that you can use that. Now, if you add a classroom that's not a Google method, okay, I'm going to come into my other classroom. This was not added with Google Classroom. So you'll notice it doesn't say update or sync with students. So there's currently no students in here. This is my class. And I can add students this way. So if you didn't do it through Google Classroom, which I think you should, but if you didn't, you can come in here and have your students enroll. It'll give you a code. They have to go to GoGuardian and enroll. And again, if you teach upper grades, they know what it is. You might be fighting them on that method. You can add students with their email. It sends them an invite, but remember, kids don't get email. You can also CSV file. You can just type it into a spreadsheet and upload it with their email address and activate it that way. Um, I like the Google Classroom because when you get new kids, you get them into Google Classroom, just sync it. It makes it nice and easy. The other thing here is you can add teachers. Okay. So let's say you wanted help with something and you're talking to your ed tech coach, might be me, might be one of the other ones. You can come in and put their name in and say, hey, I'm going to add you in. Can you come in and help me with my GoGuardian? Add us as a teacher. It shows up in our GoGuardian. We can come help you out. Please let us know you did that. Don't just assume we're going to see it. Let us know so we can hop in and help you. It also has the settings again for the class right here. So everything's here for you to change. That co-teacher could be very important though, especially if you have a substitute. Let's say that you're going to be out for surgery or something comes up and you're going to be out for a period of time. Um, and this would be longer than a 1 day. Putting them in for a 1 day doesn't seem like a good use of time. But for a long-term sub, you can come put their name in, their sub email address. You just put it in by email and then add them in. And then they would have access to your classroom, your GoGuardian, be able to see everything during that time period that you're out. And that's one of the things that we would probably be training long-term subs to do. Okay. So that's kind of an important thing to remember. You can add that teacher in or add a co-teacher. You can also add in an admin or a site coach. If you're having trouble with students' behavior online and you want them to come see what's going on, you can add them in and get suggestions and help that way. So this is a great, useful program for all of those different things. Keep in mind, again, you can get those student reports on where they are. They're very detailed. You can come in and you can also have more than one class. So if you're meeting with a group A, group B, and you structure it that way in your Google Classroom, you can pull them in here that way as well and have it run. But one of the key things, I think anybody who was running this during the emergency learning, I don't even want to call the last one distance learning, during our emergency learning last year at the end of the year, um, is that scheduling and putting in a scene that might allow you to block what you mainly want them to, the game sites and things you don't want them using during the day, and activating that scene and scheduling it. So even if you have a sub, your GoGuardian's running that scene all the time. So you're out for a day, the kids wouldn't be hopping on game sites because you've got them blocked, or you've got the sites they like to go to blocked, and they can't get to them anyway because that scene's still running. So that scheduling is a great thing. And again, that's in the classroom. You click on the class that you want to schedule, you come in to the settings and go to scheduling and add a schedule, and you can say start, end time, whatever days you want that to be. And it might look different. When we were in school, of course, and the Chromebooks were in the school, those went from start of your day to your end of your day, and Tuesday was different with the minimum day. So you can add different schedules based on day. So that's kind of important. But with distance learning, you might want this to run almost 24 hours. So you might start it at 6 a.m. and have it go till, you know, midnight, or start at 3 a.m. and go till midnight. So up to you, but I think that's a great feature for the distance learning. So hopefully this helps you out. My part 2 on this will be a little bit more detail on the scenes, how to do wild carding with them, how to create those scenes, and hopefully help you out with that a little bit more. So this is GoGuardian, and it's available for our 2nd through 8th grade teachers.